Hello, you're watching Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. These are our headlines this evening. Now, after 2 decades on the run, a Rwandan suspect in the genocide against the Tutsis has appeared in front of a French court. Felicien Kabuga says all charges he faces are lies. More on that at the top of the show. And we'll bring you a report from Cameroon about how COVID-19 has upset all things financial in the country, in particular the ability of the diaspora to send money back home to their families. And the end is in sight for Nollywood's production pause. Nigeria's booming film industry had to grind to a halt due to COVID-19. We'll take a look at how things are beginning to tick over again for Africa's most dynamic film industry. Thanks for watching. Now we'll start here in Paris with the court appearance of a presumed genocide perpetrator, Felicien Kabuga. He is one of the most wanted fugitives internationally and was arrested in France on the 16th of May. That arrest has shone the spotlight on the ongoing manhunt for accused perpetrators of the Tutsi genocide 26 years on. Rwandan authorities, along with UN prosecutors, are tracking down suspects across the globe. Efforts are also underway closer to home to locate bodies of victims, often in unmarked mass graves. With more on that, here's France 24's Maria Gert Nicolescu.
These villagers are searching the grounds around this pond, transformed into a mass grave during the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994. Around 3,000 people were killed here. Authorities drained the pond to allow searches. Since April, people have been gathering new evidence of the horror.
They were using these types of stakes made out of sharpened wood to kill the Tutsi during the genocide. They would strike them before throwing them into the water. We're finding these stakes several years after the bodies have decomposed.
Bones exhumed by the villagers during the past weeks are brought to the Nkamba Memorial. Once dried, they are placed inside the memorial's crypt. Around 1,150 genocide victims have already been buried here, and the numbers keep growing.
Les gens que nous avons perdus durant le génocide contre les Tutsis sont nombreux. Et aussi longtemps que nous allons trouver des décors, que nous allons trouver des ossements, aussi nous allons les inhumer ici.
Discoveries made in Rwanda have also furthered investigations on the perpetrators. In Kigali, 22 agents of the Genocide Fugitives Tracking Unit are hunting down those who participated in the massacres in order to bring them to justice.
Our work is to ensure that we identify those who have been convicted, liaise with the hosting countries, tell them to come and investigate the convicted persons that are on their territory. If they want to try, they can go ahead and try. If they can extradite them back to serve sentences, they can as well do that.
The unit says it has issued 1,144 arrest warrants throughout the world. Only 23 of these suspects have been tried abroad, and 24 were extradited to Rwanda.
Now, for close to 3 months, many families in Cameroon have had to tighten their belts. Money sent back from loved ones working in Europe and elsewhere has dropped off significantly. So-called remittances have fallen across sub-Saharan Africa by 23%, according to the World Bank. Now, with many households living month to month or even at subsistence level day to day, this has caused a real crisis. Our team on the ground went to find out more.
For nearly 3 months now, this international money transfer agency in Yaoundé has seen very few clients. The counters remain empty to the dismay of Christian, the manager.
Oui, dis-moi, tu as combien d'opérations à l'international depuis le matin, s'il te plaît? 2 opérations.
2 transactions. This is 5 times less than usual. Since the outbreak of the pandemic, he is faced with a decline in the number of deposits or money withdrawals from abroad.
Habituellement, à cette tranche horaire, on a franchi la barre de 50 opérations. Là, on n'a même pas 10 opérations. La situation s'est aggravée un peu avec l'arrivée de cette pandémie, où on a moins d'opérations en envoi et une petite baisse de réception.
The drop in international money transfers has affected many Cameroonians like Landry, a student who is receiving less and less money from his mother, who lives in France.
Coucou maman, il vient de rentrer, j'ai retiré l'argent.
He has just received his monthly allowance after waiting for weeks. The package has dropped by 70% since his mother is also dealing with the economic crisis, which is affecting the French economy.
En ce temps de crise, on n'a pas les moyens de se permettre un superflu. Donc, ce que je vais faire en premier, c'est de me ravitailler en vivres, payer les factures de la chambre, faire le transfert, le téléphone, Internet et tout.
The global fall in transfers is alarming to local finance experts like Rustan Taneh. From his home where he is confined, he is worried about the direct consequences on African families.
Au niveau de l'Afrique, on ne peut plus avoir la possibilité d'avoir un soutien venant de l'extérieur. Vous imaginez que la suivi sera très difficile pour les familles. Cette crise à la base sanitaire deviendra très vite une crise financière, plus tard une crise sociale.
A social crisis feared by many as the billions of CFA francs in money transfers to Africa have until now represented more than the amount of official development aid packages to the continent.
Okay, time now for some other news stories from across the continent. There was disorder at a quarantine site in Malawi where 400 people held at the centre have fled, returning to their homes. They had been repatriated from South Africa and held at a centre in the city of Blantyre. At least 16 of those who left the centre had tested positive for COVID-19, leading to concerns about further contagion. And it's good news for South Africans anxious to return to their places of worship. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced that churches and other religious venues will reopen when the country moves down to level 3 of a 5-tier coronavirus lockdown. That means from the 1st of June. But places of worship must restrict the numbers present to 50 people or under. Dozens of civilians have been killed in the east of DR Congo. The ADF militia is responsible, according to multiple sources. The so-called Allied Democratic Forces have killed hundreds in the region since 2019 in retaliation for a Congolese military offensive on their bases. The deaths took place near the border dividing two provinces, Ituri and North Kivu. Now, with all the information swirling around online about the pandemic, there is also a lot of disinformation. And here at France 24, our Observers team is sifting through much of it. Here's Derek Thompson with a look at what to be careful of online in Nigeria.
Chinese stores burned down in Nigeria.
As China came out of confinement for the coronavirus, there were rumours that Africans living there could be responsible for a second wave of infections. Well, that made a lot of people in Africa angry. This video claims to show a revenge attack against Chinese shop owners in Nigeria. Now, this fire did happen, and it was in Nigeria, in a city called Ibadan on April 15th. It was covered in the local press. We found the exact place it happened on Google Street View. But was it anti-Chinese? Well, we tracked down one of the shop owners. His mobile phone store burned down, and he was very clear. He told us there are no Chinese-owned stores here. All the stores are owned by Nigerians. So yes, there was a fire in Nigeria on April 15th, but no, it had nothing to do with the coronavirus and nothing to do with anti-Chinese sentiment in Africa. For more fact-checking on the COVID-19 virus, go to the debunked section of our website, observers.france24.com.
Now, making movies has largely been put on the back burner amid the current crisis. That's true everywhere, including Nigeria, where the so-called Nollywood industry had to take some time out. But some film sets have begun to reopen. There are strict guidelines, of course, for actors and production crews. Many are anxious to get the ball rolling again after a disastrous few months for filming and for ticket sales. Laurent Berstecker has more.
In this film studio near Abuja, actors and crew members were getting back to work after a 2-month hiatus caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. On set, bottles of hand sanitizer were being passed around, an example of the new guidelines imposed by the industry. For director Samuel Idiagbonia, who has seen his production crew cut down from more than 20 people to just 7 in order to minimize contact, this also means taking on new responsibilities.
Before now, just give instruction and you have PAs on set running to get this done. But because of this pandemic, I have to do everything, not everything, a lot of things myself, so that the integrity of the production is not compromised.
And action!
With actors required to stand further apart than usual, it's also become impossible to shoot scenes involving large social gatherings. This, along with cinema closures across Nigeria, has raised concerns about the industry's ability to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. But the crisis has also led to new forms of innovation, like in this drive-in theater, one of around a dozen to have opened in Nigeria over the past 2 months.
It saves you the stress of, having to park, come down from the car, go upstairs or into the mall and sit down in the cinema. Or it's a different experience. I think I'm enjoying it.
Despite these positive signs, Nollywood, the world's second most prolific film industry, which generates up to $1 billion a year, is likely to feel the impact of COVID-19 for quite some time.
All right, that's all for this edition. Thanks for watching and good night.